Hey everyone, I am Santa Doc. That is Kamla Claus. It's the Christmas edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. It's December 21st. It's Thursday. We're going to do this right after this quick song.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. This is the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast with the OGs. We have Steve Alexander, we have Rick Kamla, and we have our holiday-infused nicknames going on here. And, Doc, let's dive in here, man. Obviously, we had a really fun night in the NBA last night, and Joel Embiid with the 50-10 game against Minnesota, and all kinds of juicy stuff went down. But since we left the people, me and you, last Thursday, we have Ja Morant back in the NBA. And look, Doc, I'm in this 20-team dynasty / keeper league called Sam Hinkie's Letter. One of the members of the Klay family puts this. I forget at this point, and apologies for that. I think Brandin, and Brandon's my guy. I just a little drifty on the name right now, but Sam Hinkie's Letter. It's a 20-team league, Doc. A few years ago, like 3-4 years ago, I made a bad trade for Steph Curry. I traded off Hero, Jaren Jackson Jr., a couple of first and second round picks, like ruined 2 drafts. I got a chip out of it, but it really set me back with the lack of draft picks and Hero and Jackson, obviously. And so I'm Ja Morant in that league, Doc. And I'm back, okay? I had a really good draft. I had Cam Thomas. He's popping for me. And now I was already in first place. Boom. Now I get to drop Ja Morant on this league with the crew that I have. What a debut, dude. 34 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 12 of 24 from the field. This is his first game in 6.5 months, coming off of a 25-game suspension. What's next against Indiana tonight? A 50? Okay. Doc, Ja Morant, we talk about league winner, and it's become a cliche and kind of like we laugh at it and stuff like that. He is literally going to be a league winner. For those who are smart enough, I mean, I'm in a dynasty league. I had Ja coming from the first draft that we had, right? But, Doc, for those people that drafted Ja Morant while suspended, hung in there with them all this time, he's going to win leagues for them, man. So Ja Morant is back, and we have a Haliburton and Ja Morant matchup tonight, Doc. I'm psyched.
Dude, that's the thing. You didn't even mention the game-winning shot that he hit in that game, which was epic. I mean, he zero rust, completely. He's like I was saying. I was on with Mark Schwartz on Tuesday of ESPN fame. I was like, this dude's like a caged tiger. It reminds me like when somebody held Mike Tyson down for like too long, and he just came out of the cage. Just like, I'm going to tear someone's head off, and I'm going to destroy anyone in my way. I mean, that's where Ja is right now. And, dude, you mentioned it already. Tyrese Haliburton and those Pacers, you know what they don't do? They don't play defense. They don't care how many points you score. They just want to score more points than you do. I am all in on Ja Morant tonight. He's going to score 50. He may triple-double with 50. It's going to be like 150 to 148 that game. It's going to be so fun. And in fact, when we get to the end of the show, I'll unveil the most fun underdog lineup you can ever put together, which Ja Morant is in that.
Yeah, I'm actually popping on here right now. Now, they don't let you load up on a player, right, and go bang, 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 and like hit Haliburton 3 times. They'll let you hit him once, but I'm going to have a card tonight with Ja and with Haliburton, but you got to add somebody else, to make it that parlay. So that's under construction right now. But Ja Morant is back. One more thing here. Doc, the Grizzlies can actually make the play-in tournament. I don't think they will, but they're going to make a run at this, okay? And I believe that this is going to lead to Ja Morant being an absolute savage down the stretch. As you know, they're 3.5 out of the PIT. They're 2.5 out of the PIT. Oh, they're back to 3 out of the PIT. Like, You know what I mean? And
what is
I
their
don't know.
record? Are they like 7-19 right now?
They're
Something like
7-19. The math yesterday, and I don't think it's changed, was 6 or 6.5 out of the play-in tournament. Behind Phoenix, who is in 10th place. We have 56 games to go for Memphis. Okay, this can happen. But again, I just want to see them make a run, make a push, knock on the door of that play-in tournament, and it will keep all of these guys in there, as opposed to, let's bottom out and think about ping pong balls. Frankly, like, the NBA needs Ja Morant. It does. Okay. Memphis games are unwatchable when he doesn't play. They get housed in most of these games. Would we be excited about Memphis and Indiana tonight if Ja Morant were not back for the Grizzlies? Of freaking course. Okay. But now we are. We get Ja and Haliburton. So don't shut him down, man. Do not shut him down. Let's move on and talk about Coby White here, Doc.
Before we do that, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane with Ja Morant back. Do people need to be worried if they've got JJJ? I don't think so, dude. I think it opens everything up for Bane and JJJ. That whole team is on the same page now. Bane is like, he was talking about running a play for me. I'm like, no, bro, you're getting the ball. You're taking it to the rack. If I'm open, throw it to me. I'll shoot it. But this is your baby now. And I just think that makes these other teams kind of forget about Triple J and Bane.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr. hit a real heater in the moments before Ja came back. The scoring's going to go down a little bit, but think about it. Did we like Jaren Jackson Jr. when he was playing with Ja Morant before all of this gun stuff and all of these suspensions? Yes. Did we like Desmond Bane playing with Ja Morant before all of these suspensions? Yes. So why wouldn't we like him now? And then we've got Marcus Smart coming back here later on this week. Might be a Friday or Saturday or something like that. So that's an early Christmas present. Somehow, some way, somebody dropped him in the Cam Dynasty, and I went, "Give me him!" I have 6 IL spots in the Cam Dynasty. It's a very, very generous league, and it doesn't have to be even a guy with the red cross next to him. It can just be sort of that questionable red flag. Boom, put him down in your injured spot. You don't have to drop dudes. 6 of those spots. Somebody dropped Marcus Smart about a month ago, and I said, I'll chill. I'll sit on ice here with Marcus Smart and wait out his return. About a 3.5, a steal and a half, I don't know, 12 points, 5-6 assists. I think, 4 or 5 rebounds, not great, but very serviceable, especially in a super deep league like the Cam Dynasty league is, where, I'm ravaged with injuries right now, Doc. I'm without Bradley Beal. I'm without Evan Mobley. I'm without Jalen Johnson. I'm without Smart, a bunch of guys. I'm like, Sam Hauser's on my roster right now. I don't want Sam Hauser on my roster in the Cam Dynasty. This is not a good look for me, Doc. It's not. The paparazzi are like, what the hell, dude? Is your game slipping? No, it's not slipping. And I'm trying to not lose to the K-Train, Ken Kreitz, this week. Are you ready to move on and talk a little Coby White here?
I am. I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but I thought that I get a lot of questions about Triple J, so I want to see your take.
Interruptions are always welcome. It's a free-flowing show. We just bang around. Doc, back in the day, I was a big Mosh Pit fan. Not like the leader, like the center guy, like the 6'5", 300-pound guy wearing the leather jacket, just literally moving dudes out of the way. That wasn't me. I was on the fringe, and I just went in there, do some side bumps, a little pushing, and I don't know. It's back in the day. We'd mosh it up just a little bit. Stage dove one time, Doc, and I did make it without cracking my head open on the cement floor. Anyway, those were the days. Are we selling high with Coby White, Doc? Or are we riding the wave?
I have a feeling that Santa Doc has a different take on this than Kamla Claus. Santa Doc is all in on Coby White. Coby White has been balling since the season started. We have not seen Lonzo ball since the last Big Baller shoe commercial ran back in the late 90s.
Ice Age? We haven't seen him since the Ice Age, Doc.
Since the 90s. Zach LaVine is not going to play another game in Chicago.
The Cold War was still a thing when Lonzo Ball played last.
Oh, poor Lonzo. I love Lonzo, man. It makes me sad. But yeah, I don't know who else is going to run the point there. I love what Coby White's doing every night. I've got him on my 30 deep team. I got him late. Like, I was looking at where I drafted him. It was like a 200th or 180th or somewhere crazy.
Lee,
and he's one of the best players on my team. He's racking up rebounds, assists, threes, points every single time he plays. And he's not helping some of my percentages, and his turnovers are high, whatever. I'm all in. I think Coby White is possibly going. I mean, he's possible for most improved player in the league.
Yeah, he's definitely in that conversation. And I am on the other side of this, but I'm kind of I'll meet you in the middle in this way. In the month of December for Coby White, it is Cam, it is Doc here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. In the month of December, he's at 25-7-7. 25-7-7. Guys, that's LeBron James' stat line for this season. Okay, LeBron is literally going 25-7-7. Coby White is doing that right now in this month of December, shooting 50, 50, 83. I say sell high, but not right now. The Lakers, in my opinion, Doc, and so this is where it gets fuzzy and where the debate really pivots, because if you told me that Zach LaVine is not going to play for the Bulls again and Coby White will have this role and the Bulls will not trade for anybody who will buzzkill this role, of course I would say don't sell high, ride this out. I fear that the Lakers need to make a move, okay? And the Bulls are a perfect setup for them to make that move and go get Zach LaVine. Problem is, they would send Russell or Reeves back to Chicago in that move, especially if Austin Reeves goes back to Chicago. That is a massive buzzkill for Coby White. They might be able to get D'Lo to come off the bench behind Coby White. I don't know, but that would be a little bit less of a buzzkill for me. But if Austin Reeves goes to Chicago, that's going to be his show now, and Kobe's back, and I got to get in where I fit in mode. So that's where my head is at, man. And we know that January 15th, Doc, is this next date where all the guys that were signed in the offseason are greenlit to be traded. December 15th is a date for that, but it doesn't include everybody. And then there's another date on January 15th where a lot of other guys that got signed in the offseason can be traded. The Bulls have Zach LaVine on the shelf for exactly that period of time until right around January 15th. It's no coincidence, guys. They're holding Zach LaVine out of the fight so they can trade him so he doesn't get hurt. So I do see a trade coming down here, Doc, and that's why I sell high with Coby White, probably like a week and a half into January.
I like that take. And I think anytime you're talking about a player, whether you should sell high or not, and there's a trade involved, it all depends on who's coming back. First of all, if Austin Reeves gets traded from the Lakers, there's going to be a mutiny in that building. Like that town is going to lose its mind. LeBron, I don't think LeBron's going to okay that trade. I think Austin Reeves
Zach LaVine is a clutch client. Don't forget.
All right, but yes, if they get a point guard coming back like D'Angelo Russell, that would obviously hurt Coby White. Also, something I have not looked at or thought about, but Chicago, for those of you in head-to-head leagues, their schedule is gross. 3 games in the middle of – we're in the middle of a 3-game week. Then they go 3-3-4. No, that's Charlotte. We're in the middle of a 4-game week. Then they go 3-3-4, 3-3-3-3-2-2-3. Like, that is a lot of 2s and 3s and only 1-4 in that Chicago schedule. So, I mean, if you want to sell high on Coby White, that schedule's horrible. Now might be the time to do it.
Okay. I see where your head is at with that. I found that streamers can make up for those games, right? I don't know. I don't really get hung up too much on whether a guy, in 30 deep I do, right? Because if a guy's got a 4-game week, a guy's got a 2-game week, the margins are so slim in this league where literally a guy that's going to give you 7 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, like is a serviceable guy in this league. So when the margins are that thin, I do look at the games played by week. But moving on here, Doc, are we selling high with Collin Sexton? Collin Sexton of the Utah Jazz, 6 consecutive 20-point games in December, going 21-3-4, 50 from the field, 35 from deep, and 91 from the free throw line. Your guy, Keontae George, has been out with this injury. I did read the other day that he's kind of, I don't know how quickly this will happen, but he's on the comeback trail. I believe he was flying with Utah to one of their road games. So His return might be around the corner here, Doc. So are we selling high with Collin Sexton before K. George gets back up in there?
Well, Clarkson's been out too. Olynyk's been terrible. Like you said, I think it was a week ago right here on this show, you were like, Collin Sexton is going to take off. And he sort of did. He sort of did. You pretty much crushed that. But there's nobody else to steer the ship. There's nobody else to do it except for Collin Sexton. So, yeah, when Keontae comes back, I think Collin Sexton goes away again. And Collin Sexton is one of those guys where, yeah, he might score some points and he might have a good game here and there. But generally speaking, he's hurting more fantasy teams than he's helping, generally speaking, at least historically. But he's on a good run.
He's a bucket getter. He's not an assist guy. He's not a steal guy. He's a bucket getter. And really, frankly, Doc, I got to be honest with you and everybody. He's like, to me, he's a Jamal Crawford, a J.R. Smith, a Lou Williams. And I mean, it's not a bang at all. It's like, but that he's better as sort of that, that guard off the bench, right? That's going to play starters minutes, but when he's having one of those 3 for 15 nights, you can kind of get him out of the fight a little bit. And he's not a starter where you pretty much got to have a good game from him. All right, let me ask this question. I'm going to remove the profanity. 3 of the 4 letters of this word, which obviously we can't really float around here. What the F is wrong with OG Anunoby, Doc? What the F is wrong with OG Anunoby? I'm pissed. I'm over it, okay? OG Anunoby completely sucks right now. Did you see his stat line against Denver last night? 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, like 1-3, no steals. What is this? I made a big trade in the Cam Dynasty for OG. It wasn't a big trade. It was a trade. Okay. It was a trade. I traded Clarkson before I just saw the bottom falling out on that thing. THT, literally the day before he got benched for Keontae George, and a 3rd-round pick for OG Anunoby. Okay. I felt like I was stealing. I felt like I was that old Jane's Addiction song, right? Been caught stealing, man. And I, in fact, have been caught stealing because OG Anunoby is not even close to the player that I traded for. Okay, I traded for 15 to 17 points. I'm not getting crazy here. Doc, you know what I traded for? I traded for fantasy gold.
The third-round player he was last year.
Exactly. 2.5 threes a game, 1.9 steals per game, right? It's the fantasy gold. And so we're getting here this year 1 steal per game, 2.3 threes per game, but it's so inconsistent. Like he'll have a 25 with some goodies, and then they'll have last night. It's like, dude, you're vexing. So now, Doc, I'm all up in my head. Like, am I benching OG Anunoby for Tari Eason? Am I benching OG Anunoby for Dante Exum? Okay, these are the tennis games that are being played in my brain right now. I thought OG Anunoby was going to be a staple at one of my forward spots on this team. I am super, super disappointed. And Doc, I don't look. There are some teams where I absolutely have my finger on the pulse. I watch every minute of every game. Toronto's not one of those teams. I come in and I come out on Toronto. Okay, I actually watched a lot of the game last night because I watch every minute of Denver. And so I did watch a lot of Toronto ball last night. And Scotty Barnes, my God, that guy. But what's the deal here, Doc? Okay, under Nick Nurse, awesome defensive coach. We get awesome defensive numbers from OG Anunoby. Now we got Darko Rajakovic. I'm not even sure what his coaching identity is, Doc. Okay, they're just a mediocre team. And so what in the hell is wrong? What the F is wrong with OG Anunoby?
I don't know, but it's been that way all season, and I've been talking about it for a month. He's like a 7th, 8th, 9th round guy instead of a 3rd round guy. Fred VanVleet is gone. Dennis Schroeder is there, and they have this coach Darko. And we've seen the emergence of Scotty, like you just talked about. So those are the things. It's one of those 4 things, or it's all of those 4 things mixed together, or maybe OG and Pascal Siakam both don't like playing in Toronto anymore and don't care. Siakam, I feel like, is going to be an Atlanta Hawk here before it's all said and done. I don't know, dude. The odds of me tuning in to watch the Toronto Raptors play a game are very, very slim. They're going to have to be playing somebody I love to watch.
Right.
I just don't care. And I guess Fred VanVleet may have had something special with OG Anunoby, and now that he's gone, Schroeder ain't got it. I don't know, man.
Let me pull up this comment right here because it's co-signing what we're saying. It's from Aditya Maluk. Aditya, thank you for coming back here. I recognize your name. He says, I hate Coach Darko. He's not letting Poeltl get enough minutes. Should I be panicking on Poeltl? So sad and frustrating. I bailed on Poeltl in a 8-man keeper league. It's like a 12-team league. Anyway, a keeper league that I'm in like a week and a half in, and I picked up Nurkic, Doc, because I like Nurkic when he's activated. He's a double-double guy. He dimes. He hits a three, every now and again. Decent defense. Like I'm kind of a Nurkic guy, and he's motivated now with Phoenix and playing well. So I was like, screw Poeltl, I'm out. And I went over to Yusuf Nurkic, and he's my backup center to Joel Embiid. And so I tapped out on Poeltl a long time ago. And frankly, Doc, I haven't really revisited that conversation.
When was the last time you heard Poeltl's name?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing 2 shows a week for the entire season. This is the first time, maybe second time, anyone has said Jakob Poeltl.
Aditya, congratulations. You just rang the bell.
Hey, Rick, you know what? Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for NBA best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $100 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire. With promo code RWNBA, that's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today and use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. Mike.
Oh, pardon me. That is Dr. A. I'm Rick Kamla. We're the OGs, and we are the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast.
I am Santa Doc, sir.
Santa Doc and Kamla Claus. Sorry, Doc. I got to remember that for today. He's got the hat on and everything, man. Are you, where are the stockings? Shouldn't you have stockings with, I don't know, like an NBA 2K sticking out of it or a pack of basketball cards?
Is that a little dig to get the word stock in there without actually throwing the word stock in there?
No. I was not trying to.
Speaking of stocks, how about?
I thought you hated that reference. Why are we going there?
How about this dude, Isaiah Hartenstein?
Go on. Tell
30 minutes a night, baby. Let him go. Thibs, let him play, baby. Let him out. I'm fired up about Hartenstein right now, man. I just hope Tom Thibodeau can find it within his Grinch heart.
Did you say Grinch? Is that what you said?
I did say Grinch. I hope he can find it within his heart that's 2 sizes too small to let Isaiah play 30 minutes a night, baby. Everybody else is hurt, right? Mitchell Robinson's gone for the year. Jericho Sims got hurt. I mean, Hartenstein is on. Is it Hartenstein or Hartenstein?
I think it's Stein, actually. I'm pretty sure you get like all the CSHs and all that kind of stuff going on in there.
Well, Brian Rosenworcel, the drummer of Guster, and I have been talking about Hartenstein for years. And even when I go back and listen to the broadcast and figure out how to say it, I forget about it immediately. So either way, whether it's Steen or Stein, I've got him on several teams, and I'm launching him because it looks like he's going to take off.
So I agree with all of that. So Thibodeau really messed with my brain, Doc, in the Cam dynasty. As soon as Mitchell Robinson went down, and I picked up Hartenstein, knowing, I'm not like last night. Was it last night? Yeah, the Nets game. We're getting 2 points. But we're getting blocks, we're getting steals, we're getting assists, we're getting rebounds, we're getting good field goal percentage. And it's right off of waivers there for you, okay? You're literally getting double-digit rebounds a game off of waivers, okay? How often does that happen? Not very much. So, I play the streamer game, especially in a week with Ken Kreitz. I got to try to keep up. He's leading me right now 5-3. I'm not happy about it. I have sleepless nights about it, okay? I win. I don't lose. I don't want to lose to the K-Train. He just won the chip in my league last year, okay? So I stream. I mess around. I got tough decisions to make. And I dropped Hartenstein because they started Jericho freaking Sims. Like, why? What are we doing here, man? Jericho Sims is a guy. He is a Adonis, right? He's like Tarzan out there with this bod. Can he play basketball? I don't even. So anyway, Hartenstein is starting right now. And you're right. Tibbs needs to just like stop it. Start him, okay? You've got your dude back and Taj Gibson to play 10 minutes off the bench behind him. Go trade for Thomas Bryant or some backup big or something and start Hartenstein. Why wouldn't you?
Got your guy Taj Gibson.
He's good. He's good on offense too. Hartenstein is a good passer. He's good with dribble handoffs. He's good at hitting cutters with the little backhand pass on the baseline. Like he's a talented basketball player, and he's got boy-o-yoing and he's got motor and all that kind of stuff. So I'm with you, bro. I'm with you on Hartenstein. I think and now, Doc, check this out. The news gets like worse but better. Like, I mean, God bless Mitchell Robinson, right? He ain't going to play again this year, okay? Yeah. So, right? So he has been the Knicks have applied for a disabled player exception because they project that Mitch is going to miss the rest of the year. You can't go to the league for this player exception unless the guy's going to miss the entire year. So the fact that the Knicks are doing this tells you that he's going to miss the year. Boom. Isaiah Hartenstein is the guy. I don't see the Knicks trading for Embiid. I don't see them trading for Cat. Okay. Those trades aren't happening. Philly's good. Minnesota's good. Move on with your lives. I do see New York, and I think they need to trade for a backup big. Like I said, a Thomas Bryant. God, I just went through this list this morning, and some of the other names are escaping me. But, like guys that are second or third string on their teams that are pretty good, like a Thomas Bryant, a Jackson Hayes with the Lakers, although I don't think they'll move him, but you get the point. But still, Hartenstein should be good for 30 minutes a game here, Doc, from now to the end of the season.
He should be. Did you watch that Lakers game when he came off the bench behind Jericho Sims, who only lasted 3 minutes? 39 minutes, 9 points, 17 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Those are stocks. He was all over the place. He's the reason that the Knicks won that game. And hopefully that was the one. I think that was Monday night, maybe. Hopefully that's the one that got Thibs' attention, and he's going to let him go and let him play 30 a night because he needs to. And Hartenstein's the kind of guy that needs 30 minutes a night to produce. Like, we can't have him play in 22, 23 minutes. It's got to be 30.
Agreed. The points are already really light. And when he plays those minutes, that's when he starts to get into those big double-digit rebounding totals. He's kind of Rodman-ish when you think about the stat line, the blocks, the steals. Although Rodman wasn't great in those categories. Rodman obviously was like 17 to 25 rebounds every game. And a very weird fantasy player. Always vexing for me, Doc, back in those days. You knew the rebounding category was just going to put you over the top, but like, he really hurt you in a lot of other categories. Threes, points, wasn't a big block steal guy. Rodman was a very weird fantasy basketball player back in the day. Hartenstein's stat lines kind of remind me of Dennis Rodman a little bit. But again, it's off waivers, okay? Rodman was a guy you drafted, and people drafted him pretty high. Like, I'm going to win rebounds, and I will have rebounds. It's like, okay, that's cool. There's like 8 other categories, dude. Have fun with that. I wasn't a big – go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say – Are we good on Hart? You're still going on him?
Yeah, I just went on a random thing there about Dennis Rodman, Santa Doc, and maybe drafting Dennis Rodman and having him on a fantasy team predates you playing fantasy. I don't know. Did you go back that far with fantasy where you were effing around with Dennis Rodman? What was your first playing fantasy basketball?
Me?
Yeah,
dude, I may have invented fantasy basketball before you did. Dude, I was around when my buddy Scott Haliburton took Glenn Big Dog Robinson with the number 1 pick in our draft over Jordan. Over
what year was that?
I don't know. That was probably like 95. And I was around it with Eddie Jones being a baller, dude, for the Lakers, like steals and blocks. Eddie Jones was the original stocks guy. Like, I think my first year of playing fantasy hoops was 1992, and the Indianapolis Star used to have a thing in the paper where you could pick. They had blocks of 5 players, and you would pick 1 player from each block, and then they'd run the results in the paper every week. And so the first league I ran was based on that, And then after that, we did the whole stats thing. In fact, I think today when we do that podathon show tonight, I think we should go old school and talk about our earliest memories of fantasy hoops, because for me, it gets so fun to talk about like going to the copy store and making copies of everything, getting the USA Today at 5:30 in the morning and sitting down and just getting your yardstick and your highlighter out and just going to town, man.
That's how it had to be done back in the day. 1989 it was what was the first fantasy basketball league for me. It's Sigma Nu Fraternity, and I think that's a good idea, Doc. My first ever draft pick was Magic Johnson. And later, I think it was 91 when he came back, or maybe it was 93 or something. I traded for Magic, and it was a very, very bad trade for me. But I was so geeked that he was back in the NBA that I had to have him.
I put this question up here because I want to hear you rage, dude. It's from Point Blank Mish. Is it time to unload Lauri Markkanen? Utah is tanking. It's sounding more loud lately. That sounds like something exactly what you said the very first show we did this year.
I just he was on my don't draft list. I'm just, and I don't know, like we talked about this. Like I'm just off of the Jazz. They're toxic to me. I'll mess around with like Keontae George for the long haul. I'll mess around with Sexton in like a short-term rental situation. But I had an opportunity to trade for John Collins earlier this year. I didn't. I traded for PJ Washington, okay? That was a horse bleep trade for me overall, but that gives you an idea. I feared either the trade or the shutdown, and then John Collins in the abyss, and is even a starter anymore, okay? Markkanen, Clarkson. No, I'm just out because Utah sucks. They're not going to get better, and they're going to shut these guys down again. So I've just never been on him. And if you have him, yes, you need to be absolutely trying to trade Lauri Markkanen right now. What do you say to that, Doc? I know you have a bigger opinion about Lauri than I do. And Lauri Markkanen doesn't give you blocks and steals. That's another hit against him.
Yeah, and he's already missed time with an injury. Another one's coming. The shutdown's coming. Like I'm with you on all of it now. I think if you've got Markkanen, my son comes up here. He pops his head into my office like 3 times a day. And he asked me like a point blank basketball question. And I look at him and give him an answer, and he just disappears. The other day he came in and he's like, "What's wrong with Lauri Markkanen? How come he never plays for me?" I was like, "Because he sucks and Utah sucks." And he's like, "Okay." And he turns around and walks out. And so I mean, if you've got Lauri Markkanen on your team, it's time to try to get rid of him. That's just simple as that.
It sure is, man. It sure is. Let's talk about Klay Thompson here, Doc. Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors has been, to start the season, I mean, god awful. I mean, he was doing like I know he's a starter, but if you even took his numbers and compared him against like Naz Reid, Cole Anthony, Austin Reeves, like the best 6 men in the game, it'd be like, okay, that's where he should be living right now. But not with the percentages. The percentages are terrible. Last 4 games, Doc, he has hit a heater. And frankly, he looks a little different out there. He's just, I watch every minute of every Warriors game. They're one of those teams for me. And Klay has been so indecisive. He's been so like bad body language and just not vibey, just like sulky and pouty and in his head. And why do I suck so bad? And I'm a great player. Where is this game? How do I rediscover it? 1,000-yard stare sitting on the bench as this team gets drilled by 20 points by some asshat team. Okay. That's where he was. Now I see the strut. I see, just that pop, just that sort of erect, like body language that you get from Klay, right? He's not like all slunched over. He's like, I'm here. Wow. Like catch and shoot. I'm not thinking about this. I'm not hesitating anymore. I'm coming off a screen and catching it and rising and hitting. Whereas before he was catching it and like, I don't know. Should I pass? Should I rise? And the guy's all over him and he can't do anything with it. He scored 24 plus points and 4 plus threes, Doc, in each of the last 4 games. Are we selling high with Klay Thompson right now and capitalizing on this heater?
Well, it's a tough question because is this the Klay Thompson we're going to get for the rest of the season? Is he happy that Draymond Green is not on the court with him? Is he? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is what we're going to get for the rest of the year. But you're exactly right, dude. We talk about I talk about my kid a lot. We both have kids, It's like when you're watching your kid on the baseball field and they're hanging their head and they're kind of not, their body language sucks, and you're like pulling it aside and you grab them by their shirt and you're like, get your head in the game, son. The coach is watching you. And that's sort of where Klay was, hanging his head. Just like you said, the body language wasn't right. He didn't look like Klay. Now he does. Is that going to last all season? I mean, I kind of think they need Klay Thompson to play well to win games. And I kind of think he knows that. Kind of think maybe the slump and the sad sack for the first 20 games that we saw is gone. I think he's good. I'm going to stick with him.
I'm going to sell high with Klay Thompson, man. I'm bailing on this Golden State thing. Their ship has been taken on water, Doc. I think the dynasty is dead. They are no longer in the championship fast lane. And can they prove me wrong? Yeah, they can. I just don't think they will. Again, this is not a team that, and I would tell you, like I did with Toronto, right? Like, I don't even know Darko's identity as a coach. I don't. I just know that OG Anunoby sucks now, and it pisses me off, okay? So, but Golden State, like, no. I got my finger on the pulse of that team. And I'm a Klay Thompson guy. I want this heater to continue. I want him to get paid and all this kind of stuff, but I just don't trust it, man. I don't trust it. I would be looking to sell high with Klay Thompson right now. And so let's go to the streets here, Doc, and let's check out some of the comments from the people. It is Santa Doc and Kamla Claus, a.k.a. the OGs here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. So let's see here.
I like this. I like this one right here.
Pull it up.
From Mal Labis. Should I pick up Conley or Chris Paul rest of the season? Is it 2010? Right? What is happening?
What is happening? Neither of these players should be on waivers in this league. Okay, that's first and foremost. How are these guys on waivers? How are 2 point guard? Doc, you know this. We talk about this. You can't find assists on waivers. You can't. There's
maybe this is an 8-team league.
Maybe
it's 10.
So CP3 would be the guy for me. Draymond is out however long. I think they should bring Draymond off the bench when he comes back. I don't know if Kerr's going to operate that way, but I made a big mistake earlier this year when Draymond came back from his first suspension. I thought, and Chris Paul's numbers were awful and he could not make a shot to save his life. I bailed on him and traded him to Ken Kreitz. Massive mistake. Massive mistake. I hate that trade. It burns me inside. I got to make another good trade and heist somebody to make up for it and create an even Steven thing in my brain. But that is not currently the situation. Shout out to Ken Kreitz for that highway robbery. He didn't put a gun to my head. It's just me pulling a bad trigger on a trade. I would go Chris Paul, Doc.
Me too. I think Conley's sneaky. He's fine. He shouldn't be on waivers in 12-team leagues. He's still playing well despite the fact he's about 50. Both of those guys are ancient. They're both pushing 40 years old. But no Draymond. I think you got to go CP3 there. You got a question you want to go with? Did you find one?
Let's Safi Patel says, will OG get traded? Safi, A, I don't know. B, I would freaking love that. Okay. Because I think Doc made a great point about OG earlier on. OG, we can talk system, and system does matter. Okay. Like Drew Holiday, he's not gambling as much in Boston. His steal numbers have plummeted. Okay. And it's uncool. I'm not happy with it at all. But it is what it is. So systems can change how a player plays and the stats that those players bring. But there's also just the I don't want to be here factor, okay? And like to play defense and get 1.9 or 2 or 2.1 steals, Doc, you know this. You've really got to be engaged, and you've got to have a super high motor, and you've got to be out there deflecting and moving and in passing lanes and a lot of extra and a lot of plus, okay? And of the Raptor ball that I've seen, I don't see like a super active flying around like his hair is on fire OG Anunoby. And that's like Jalen Suggs. Okay, Jalen Suggs is flying around like his hair is on fire. Okay, he's tumbling on the ground. He's getting steals. He's diving out of bounds to grab the ball and throw it back into a teammate for a save. Like OG Anunoby has that in his game, but we're not seeing it right now. So For the love of God, please somebody come trade for OG Anunoby and save him.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about selling high on Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, we definitely could, man. We definitely could.
Or do you want to answer more questions? Or are you just going to laugh at me like, oh, yeah.
No, you're my boy, man. You're my boy.
I couldn't decide on this one. Santa Doc could not figure this out. We'll go with it. Admiral Nita says, sell high on Podziemski, who's now hurt. I mean,
you're a trip, dude. You are an app. All right, read the question. You are such a trip.
Are we selling high on Podziemski? Well, I was like, ooh, that's a good question, but he's hurt, so it's not that great of a question, but it is a good question.
How hurt is he? Are we day to day? Are we week to week? Where are we with Poge, man?
A guy running around the court with his hair on fire, diving all over the place.
He's that guy. That's a great point.
Making plays, it's Podziemski.
That's a great point.
And when Draymond went down, I got so fired up about Podziemski. I picked him up everywhere I could, wrote about him everywhere I could. Like, the dude is going to shock the world. Goes down, he hurts his back, and then he gets up and he walks like kind of an old man to the locker room. They didn't even update what the injury was for a long time. They finally came out and said it was his back. I think he's in the day-to-day range, but I'm worried about it because I just didn't like how he reacted to it. But I mean, I think Kerr has to roll with Podziemski the rest of the way. Like, this Draymond ship has sort of sailed. Like you said, you've got your finger on the pulse of the Warriors. They're not a championship caliber team with or without Draymond. And Podziemski needs minutes. He needs to play. He's young. He needs to develop. We know what Draymond can do. Like, Podziemski should be out there over Wiggins and Draymond Green at all costs, in my opinion.
So I have good news for you. And I'm just making my final thing here on this Underdog Fantasy lineup, which we'll talk about in just a second. Here's the thing with Poge, Doc. Steve Kerr loves him, and Steve Kerr drafted him. Poge is the first draft pick of the post-Bob Myers era. Kerr did not like the Myers picks, all right? Not Klay and Draymond. I'm talking about Moody, Wiseman, Kuminga. Okay, Kuminga still isn't playing enough minutes for my liking. Kerr loves Poge. Oh, by the way, this Trayce Jackson-Davis thing, it's real because Kerr drafted him, okay? And he's good, by the way. He was a Big Ten Player of the Year type of guy last year at Indiana. He was the dude, man, big stat guy. He's had 2 good games in a row. He's definitely worthy of a pickup here, guys. But I say a lot, the money finds the floor. Another phrase and it's true, and another phrase I have, draft capital finds the floor. Okay, how invested are teams in these drafted guys as opposed to, other guys? And Kerr's kind of over the Andrew Wiggins thing. You can tell that he's already been benched, right? But Poge is going to play. Poge is actually playing both ends and hustling and doing all the stuff that Steve Kerr gets wild about. And Trayce Jackson-Davis is just playing really well. He was, I believe, a 4-year guy at Indiana, so he's like poised and mature beyond his rookie status. And again, he's invested in him, Doc. Okay, he has the opportunity to look like a beast, right? Like, oh my God, what a great draft pick by Steve Kerr and all this kind of stuff. Nobody is saying that if you don't play these guys. If you play them, then Kerr gets flowers on the return. And I know some people are like, Cam, you're forgetting about Mike Dunleavy Jr., the GM of this team. I can tell you right now definitively, and I will die on this hill, Steve Kerr is calling the shots for the Golden State Warriors right now, and Mike Dunleavy Jr. is along for the ride. And in a collab situation, but Steve Kerr has the loudest voice in that war room. And again, Doc, another war reference, I would die on that hill.
Well, going back to Trayce Jackson-Davis, which I think is an important topic right now, I loved him at Indiana. When he played at Indiana, where I'm from, he looked like, to me, a lottery guy. And then, the draft pundits were coming out and being like, oh no, he's dropping. He may not even be a first round pick. And I'm like, how are 30 teams going to pass on this kid? He's a baller. Dude, you know the Warriors took him 57th? Almost didn't get drafted. 3 picks away. And so when he did start making noise, I'm like, well, he's the 57th pick. He's just playing garbage minutes. But that's not the case. Like I think he's proven to Steve Kerr that he can play. And I think if you need a big man and you're in a 12-team league, it's now or never. You're going to get Trayce Jackson-Davis now, or you're not going to get him because Draymond ain't coming back for a while. And even when he does, we may see all the pods and all the TJD we can handle. So I'm there. I love Podziemski. Like I said, I hope he's not hurt. We don't even have a new update since he won't return to the game. Like that's all we know. We don't know anything. So I'm a little worried about Pods' back, but you can't drop him until we get some news. So you're muted, sir.
If you're in a shallow league, you probably don't need Trayce Jackson-Davis. If you're in a deep league and he's on waivers, go get him now. All right, Doc, we're fired up. And before we bid you all adieu and wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, let's give out our Underdog Fantasy lineups for the night. Me and Doc are geeked about Indiana at Memphis, Haliburton at Morant, okay? And I do think both of these guys are going to hit their numbers tonight. And I added Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to this 3-team parlay, Doc. I've got SGA at over 32.5 points at home against his former team, the Los Angeles Clippers, who so stupidly I'm just kidding. They got Paul George. But nevertheless, former team, this stuff matters to players. 32.5 is his number. And the Clippers are a very good defensive team. But they're in the second of a back-to-back and might not have the same juice tonight. Ja Morant, PRA, I'm going over 45.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And Haliburton at 40.5 PRA, which, boy, I feel good about that. So that's my Underdog Fantasy lineup tonight, Doc. I got SGA, I got Morant, PRA, and I got Haliburton, PRA. How about you?
Dude, I totally forgot. I blacked it out of my history that SGA played for the Clippers.
In fact, true.
Yeah. And you know me, I love a great revenge angle story on a fantasy basketball player. Like you said, these guys get fired up to go play against their former teams. And, you know, I play a lot of golf. There are certain guys I play golf against that I want to beat a lot more than other guys. Like, oh, I'm playing him. Oh, it's on. I'm going to get fired up. I'm going to bring my A game today. And that's sort of what happens when these guys play their former teams. So my 3 that I've got locked in right now, and I may build several builds around this core 3, but I got Ja Morant, PRA, 45.5, which is what you have. We both decided on that at the beginning of this show, I think. And then I've got, outside of SGA and Ty Haliburton, the other 2 fun guys in the NBA right now, not named Anthony Edwards. I've got Victor Wembanyama, who's coming back from being held down by Coach Pop and not allowed to play for the 2nd week in a row. Now, see, you said these games played thing that you can make up for with streamers, but having Wemby on 6 teams, he had a 2-game week and missed one of those games. So he had a 1-game week when other guys were playing 4 games. I got destroyed everywhere that week. And then he's already missed a game this week. I need Wemby out there every day to carry all my teams. I am having a good week. 21.5 points. That's all he needs to score. And then I've got his buddy Chet, old Chet Holmgren, the guy who's had 34 points, 17 rebounds, and 15 blocks over his last 2 games. Baller, dude. Absolute baller. Hit banging threes like he don't care. 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists is all we need from Chet tonight. Versus the Clippers. They play defense. I don't care. So, yeah. Wemby, Chet, Morant. Lock that in all day.
I love it, Doc. Any last words of wisdom or any salutations, any I love yous to the people before we get out of here?
My mailbag column should be hitting the RotoWire pages any second now. And what was one of the things I talked about there that I wanted to bring up here? Trayce Jackson-Davis. Oh, one of the questions I had in my mailbag, Rick, was please name 3 NBA players or coaches who could play Santa Claus this holiday season. And I said, it's not an NBA player or a coach, but it's me, Santa Doc. When I grow my beard out, it's white. I'm fat as you know what, dude. I'm a grandpa now. I could totally play Santa Claus. And I think that Greg Popovich and Tom Thibodeau are 2 other guys that I think could play Santa Claus. And my old school answer for the players, I went with Paul Mokeski. And I said, just Google him. That's all you got to do. Billy the Whopper Pultz and John Hotplate Williams. I thought that was fun.
I'll hit you with Fat Lever, old school style, all the assists, all the triple doubles, all the goodies. And I'll hit you with Rick Carlisle as a coach today. Doc, Rick Carlisle is just welcoming the opposition to score at will. I mean, we had 157 to 152 in the in-season tournament, for the love of God. So I feel like they have a very, very generous style of play. And hopefully it leads to us making some money on Underdog Fantasy tonight. Guys, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We will see you all soon. For Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Dr. A, a.k.a. Santa Doc, I am Rick Kamla, a.k.a. Kamla Claus, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 and we'll see you soon.